So welcome to today's fit. Tom and I have known one another a very long time, and Tom's clubs have been in his possession a very long time. These are 2013 that we fitted these, and you're slightly more experienced, shall we say, getting on a bit. So kind of taking a look back over the set now, tech's moved on, your game's moved on. Anything in particular you're looking for from today?
Well, everyone wants to hit it further, don't they? So, given that I'm older, my swing speed's no doubt, without a shadow of a doubt, slowed down. I want clearly something that maintains the consistency in my game, but hopefully just gets me a little bit more performance. And
sort of background on Tom's game, and so we've known each other since school. An inordinately good short game, stupidly good hands, but kind of steady. It's a steady, very good at driver off the deck also, but kind of very much control based, flight's really nice and stable, but one of the most stupidly annoying short games, like up and downs are from everywhere, putts just fall in the front middle of the hole, all that kind of stuff. But if we can get a bit more shot value out of it, so that's probably without sacrificing consistency.
My game is built around consistency, and so whilst we all strive for added length, I wouldn't want to get extra length and suddenly to be losing the ball all over the shop. So I want to, maintain the values of my game, the core parts of my game, but hopefully benefit from some modern tech, because they've stood me in brilliant stead. I haven't touched any other club since you fitted for me for those 12 years ago. But as you said, my game and technology's moved on.
See what we can do.
Okay.
Good to go.
So am I just warming, am I just now just hitting normal golf shots?
Yeah, so we'll get kind of half a dozen or so shots with the 6, get the reference marker, that gives us a benchmark, and then it's seeing, right, what can we do to augment performance from there.
Okay. That won't have gone 165.
That's one of those heartbreakers in match play that trundles up close.
Yeah, no satisfaction in that one though.
So spec-wise, Tom's in a 95 gram steel, so there's a bit of bounce in the tip end. The loft on the head's 27.5 for the 6-iron, so it's kind of fairly average for where heads are now. And looking at those first few shots, it's really about, can we get a bit more ball speed efficiency? So flight looks pretty solid. I'll go over this data with Tom in a moment, but it's really about, can we gain a little? It's going to be ball speed where we're going to gain. So can we do that with a bit of head technology and face tech, and possibly a little bit of shaft weight? So we'll be testing that out. So using a head that's a fairly neutral one, it's got a little bit more forgiveness. The JPX, the 925 forged mizuno head, so it's got a bit of face tech, a little bit more forgiveness, but I haven't gone for something that's Canon-like because I don't want to kind of cheat the data. I want to see what we can do by going lighter in shaft first. So this one's about 10-12 grams lighter.
Okay. And with age, do you generally always fit a lighter shaft?
Generally speaking, yeah. Inevitably as we get a bit older, you get a little less flexible, muscles. As you're not in the gym like one used to, or doing as much sports as you used to, exercise, then the muscle strength diminishes a little bit. So you don't need as much weight to equalise energy in the handle. So that allows you to keep moving freely, and the club come with you rather than having to fetch it.
Okay.
So we're testing the limits on the weight. So we've gone into a couple of graphite shafts, but at more like 75 grams, so taking 20 grams out, just to see, can we gain enough speed doing that? And actually we're getting rid of those quite quickly, because on the one hand, the first one's very tip heavy, and that just dropped out of sync and just lost the club head control. And with the second one, it's just too light, so we can see the dead weight's not there to build speed with, and Tom overpowers it and lose it on the way down. So we're now taking the weight back up. We're still lighter than the original spec, but we now need to find enough weight that Tom can use to build speed with. So we've bottomed out, so we're down to just going to gradually build the way back up. Definitely an improvement going heavier.
Is that heavier shaft or heavier head?
Heavier shaft.
That was fat, forget
There's still, so the dead weight's in a better place, but there's not enough in the bottom end. So you're still losing the bottom end rather than the club kind of creating that drop and that kind of lag and late hit. It's not quite doing that. So it often happens in a composite where the balance point often comes up the shaft a bit. So we need to give you more in the bottom end to create that kind of lag so that your low point moves forward a bit more, as at the moment you're dumping it out behind the ball. So where we've gone from the 95 gram shafts that Tom's got in his current clubs, we've gone down to kind of 87, 88, and down to 75, which was too light, now back up into 85, and then back into the steel. And we've actually landed on the first one we tested, which is sort of 88 grams, but balance a bit in the tip end, which helped the strike. A little bit of a higher balance you'd think would help square the face up more, actually left it right. And the moment we gave more to hit against the bottom end, that momentum, that extra weight created a bit more of a catapult and squared it up. So we're at a point where, as an alternative shaft, we're in a great place with the shaft. I'm going to go back and just cross-reference with the original one to see, right, having swung something lighter for a period, do they feel hard work, and is there enough gain to change shaft? So if you're enjoying the content and the fittings, you might like this video, which we launched recently, about the 5 core model drivers and comparisons, and check it out for what might work for you this season. So it'd be interesting, having swung some lighter ones, to now go back into these.
I'm mildly terrified to hit my own golf club again.
If anything, if where we've been is a better spec, this might feel like you've got to work it a little harder to get the club through the ball and to get the best contact out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still, look, we did a good job 12 years ago. It's fine tuning. It's a bit like that driver of mine, the M4 I had for years. The update was a fine tune, but it just gave me a little bit more consistency and a little bit more efficiency. But it took 7 years to find that gain. And it's kind of like where I've still got my blades in the irons. So it's, it is minutiae in many respects. But yeah, so it's quite interesting going back to that. And it's exaggerated because of what we've done with the other clubs. So where you haven't had to work as hard to deliver that spec and the club just comes with you and you collect it, going back to that, I can see a slight exaggeration of what I saw earlier on, which was you go and then you have to just get the club there. But you have to collect the club rather than just, you have to get the club to the ball rather than just collect the ball, if that makes sense.
Funny enough, I remember when I first got these, they felt just wonderfully balanced instantly for an awfully long time.
Yeah.
And you just picked them up and they just felt good and connected.
And the thing is, given practice with them, you'll find that timing and that collection, because they're not that heavy. They're playable. So we've worked out if we're going to change where we're going on shaft, really like the timing of this and making it that little easier. But it is now, can we get that little bit extra speed and ball flight and therefore distance out of there using the head tech? That's the next step. So where we're going now is I don't want to go to just a bomber of a head, because what Tom needs is the control and the consistency from it, but we're using a bit of face tech just to see, T150 head now, having used the mizuno, the JPX 925 forged, does that just help to give that little bit more pop off the face, squeeze a little more ball speed out without compromising the flight and the spin?
Forget about that one. Is that a heavier head than my head?
Very slight, not than your current one, but slightly heavier than the last one.
Okay.
And it's amazing actually how really small differences, because of the momentum build up, actually make a big difference to timing.
Yeah, well that was all out, wasn't it? Oh, blimey.
Right, let me get rid of that one. Interesting. So it's still verging a fraction heavier than the last one, and that just looks like it really drops open on you. It's interesting. Incidentally, if you're enjoying the content in the video and the interaction between me and Tom and the fitting, then like and subscribe, and you find plenty of other videos just of this kind on the channel, and of lots of different reviews and content as well. So hit the like button and go check them out. Yeah, if we just tip a fraction over, the swing weight that the Mizuno was at, it looks like impossible to square up.
Yeah.
So right. Need to keep head weight just a touch lighter.
Putting similar golf swings on them at the moment. A bit weak to the right. Very good.
Just trying to find the face on that one. I'm going to just put that Mizuno back on. It's interesting. It sounds a better contact straight away. So just a little bit in front and leaving it open. So just going a little bit ahead of it. Not too steep on it, but slightly in front of it.
Yeah, okay.
It's one of those. It's a very marginal call, I always say. I think you could certainly find an argument if you wanted to. So it's a fine tune on shaft weight. It's a slight fine tune on head style. Actually, head weight is pretty sensitive to it. If we drop just a fraction heavy, the club drop behind you. So we can't. There are some heads that have crept a little heavier over time. And they just got out of sync. So in terms of what's realistically achievable, what we're not seeing, it's not like a standout 10-yard, one club gain kind of thing. We're looking at probably half a club. I'm just going to filter out to kind of look at the best options. So we tested the T150, we tested the P770 TaylorMade, we tested, there's a sort of Swiss brand GMAR that has a bit of tech that keeps it forging. There are heads I could go to that will go further, but they'll come out lower spin. That's not what we want to achieve. So I'm not going to go to the Srixon, the ZXi5. Again, it's heavier, but it's low spin. I'm not going to go to a P790 because that's low spin. And we're looking for, if we can squeeze a bit more performance, but do it with control. As you said earlier, your game's built around control, so we can't afford to lose that. So if we're looking at the summary between each of these, well, so really, there's half a mile an hour club speed. There's, we've not gained, we've got a little bit more flight. So the one thing we're saying, okay, let's gain a fraction of ball flight, but it's incredibly minimal. And there's got to be enough of a gain to make it worthwhile, to make a tangible change. So in essence, other than saying, okay, well, if you get a little less on top of it, you're on the 4.8 it's not steep, but it's slightly more on top of it in impact. If you were to shallow it out a bit, you'll pick up a little bit of ball flight. You could go to, say, a Preview 1X if you want a little bit more spin, but we're not seeing for me, enough that says, unless you just said to me, actually, and it may be through playing for a few rounds, you go, right, how hard do I want to work these to get the best out of them? But there's not enough there for me to go, right, we must make a change. So there you go, 12 years on, can't beat them. Did too good a job 12 years ago. But it really does go to show that actually the value of, and you might say, of course I'm going to say this, but the value of being fitted is to find out whether it's worth making a change. You could spend good money and good faith trying to change and trying to gain an improvement. And yes, the tech has moved on, but where your ball striking is really solid, the off-centre performance, there's a bit less of a gain for you. And so I can't actually beat what we did 12 years back.
Stick with what I got then.
Yeah. So there's so much value in making sure, and I think now, be it drivers, irons, the value of an experienced fitter is to tell you if there's value in a change. It's new isn't always better. What you've got and what you've had for ages could still be optimal, or there might just not be enough. Golf clubs are expensive. You don't have to update that often. These still have plenty of performance in them. So make sure that if you're going to make a change, make sure it's giving you something extra. And sometimes actually finding out they're still working really well mentally can give you a flick a switch and go, right, I can just carry on and play and keep doing that swing work because it's doing the right thing.